scores challenge Georgetown's vaunted defense. Top-ranked Duke will unleash its Naismith Trophy winner against Old Dominion. And defending champion Villanova will find out if this price is right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I'm Brent Musburger. A triple-header coming up for you on this Saturday on the road to the Final Four in Dallas. We'll start out with Scott Skiles of Michigan State against that pressure defense of the Hoyas of Georgetown. Game 2, then. Most of you will be watching Duke against Old Dominion. We'll also cover LSU, Memphis State, and Kansas against Temple. Then our triple-header game, Villanova against Georgia Tech and Mark Price. DePaul will take on Oklahoma and Bradley Louisville. And yes, those of you in the North Carolina, Alabama area, you will get a fourth game today, UAB against North Carolina. So sit back and enjoy. See what John Thompson's defense can do against Scott Skiles and Michigan State right after these messages from your local stations.
The home of man's first successful attempts to get off the ground.
Those magnificent men in their flying machine, they go up to the up, they go down to the up.
Dayton, home of the Wright brothers, those magnificent men in their flying machines. Michigan State's magnificent man of 1986's Big Ten Player of the Year, Scott Skiles, whose open style of play led the Spartans by Washington in first-round action, and whose intensity means leadership for Michigan State. Georgetown may be Ewingless, but the Hoyas are not without talent. Still one of the most versatile, skillful group of athletes in college basketball, they have remained the dominant force of the 80s in the NCAA tournament. It's second-round action from the Midwest region, Michigan State and Georgetown.
Welcome to the Dayton Arena, Dayton, Ohio, in the Midwest Regional. As today, we have 4 teams left after starting with 16, 2 games to be played. In Game 1, Michigan State against Georgetown, and in Game 2, Kansas against Temple. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Bender. Today, you're going to get a chance to see one of the most unusual, most exciting basketball players in the country, Scott Skiles. He's a Big Ten Player of the Year. Many people feel should be the Player of the Year. He's an infectious type player, and Doug Collins today, he's going to have to run the gauntlet. He's going to face a wave of Georgetown defenders, trying to wear him down. But you know something? He likes these kind of challenges.
Gary, he's seen every defense imaginable this year in the Big Ten. He seems to thrive on this kind of pressure. I have not seen a college player with this kind of animation and kind of intensity since Larry Bird and Magic Johnson played in 1979. 2 hours before game time, Scott Skiles was on the bench. This kid lives and breathes basketball. Here he is talking to his teammates, but, you know, Georgetown has prepared for a young man named Chris Mullin for 4 years. It's a different challenge today. Scott Skiles has the ball in his hands all the time. Mullin went without it. They must keep the ball out of his hands today.
Doug, this is going to be a fast-paced game, an up-tempo game.
Georgetown, relentless defense. Michigan State wants to run it up and down the floor. You can forget the 45-second shot clock today.
And so the winner will move on to Kansas City. The first meeting ever between these two. Back with a starting lineup in a moment.
Today's Midwest Region second-round game is sponsored by Today's Chevrolet, who invite you to live the style, performance, and fun of Chevrolet in '86. And by Mass Mutual, we insure more than lives. We insure success.
The Dayton Arena, Michigan State against Georgetown. Michigan State, who finished third in the Big Ten, the number 5 seed. They defeated Washington in the first round, 72-70. The Spartans, coached by Judd Heathcote, the first time that they will meet the Hoyas of Georgetown. Georgetown, the number 4 seed. 24-7 for the year. They beat Texas Tech in the first round, 70-64. And now for the introduction of the starting lineups, let's go to the public address announcer, Charlie Robinson.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the University of Dayton Arena for this afternoon's game, Midwest Region second round game between the Michigan State Spartans and the Hoyas of Georgetown University. Now let's meet the starting lineups. For Michigan State at forward, a 6'8 senior from Sterling, Michigan, number 35, Larry Pollock. For Georgetown at forward, a 6'8 sophomore from Robersonville, North Carolina, number 44, Ronnie Highsmith. For Michigan State at forward, a 6'6 junior from Detroit, Michigan, number 23, Vernon Carr. For Georgetown at forward, a 6'7 junior from Baltimore, Maryland, number 34, Reggie Williams. For Michigan State at center, a 6'8 junior from Buffalo, New York, number 40, Barry Fordham. For Georgetown at center, a 6'11 graduate student from Suitland, Maryland, number 52, Ralph Dalton. For Michigan State at guard, a 6'2 junior from Flint, Michigan, number 13, Darrell Johnson. For Georgetown at guard, a 6'5 senior from Baltimore, Maryland, number 40, David Wingate. For Michigan State at guard, a 6'1 senior from Plymouth, Indiana, number 4, Scott Skiles. And for Georgetown at guard, a 6'2 senior from Reston, Virginia, number 30, Michael Jackson. And now introducing the head coaches.
And so Michigan State is going against Georgetown. Judd Heathcote, who won it all in '79, and John Thompson, who won the title in 1984. We'll be back. The second round game for the Midwest region in just a moment. Georgetown, and this place is abuzz, as in the first round, Scott Skiles had 31 points in that victory over Washington. He is averaging over 27 a game, and I don't know if there's enough adjectives at this point, Doug, to describe his play this year.
Gary, I've seen him play twice this year in person at Michigan when he didn't shoot well, but he lifted his team to a victory at Ann Arbor. And then the other night against Washington, his team was down 12. He put his team on his shoulders and absolutely took them to victory the other night. He is an absolutely energetic young man, and I think he's the most exciting player in the country.
The officials, Willis McJunkin, John Moreau, and Mickey Crowley in charge of the game. Ralph Dalton, the graduate student, against Larry Pollock. As we're ready to go in the second round, the winner to move to Kansas City to play the winner of the game coming up later between Kansas and Temple. David Wingate, who's starting at the guard spot, and quickly goes for it. Pollock had it momentarily on the floor, and we're going to have a held ball, and the alternating held ball will go to Georgetown.
Gary, one thing that Michigan State is going to have to do today, they're going to have to get on the defensive backboard. They can't let Ralph Dalton and Highsmith and these bigger players get second shot scores. They've got to rebound the ball to get into their transition game.
We expect to see a wave of defenders picking up Scott Skiles. Right now it's David Wingate. Kicks it off to Barry Fordham. This is the guy who's playing in the shadow of Scott Skiles. Darrell Johnson, a fine player, and we have a foul on Reggie Williams, reaching in and holding. Williams committing the first foul of the game.
I think you're going to see these officials early in the ball game take control of this game. They're going to take away any touch fouls, any little agitation that might get both of these teams that are highly emotional over the edge. And I think that right there was a good call by Willis McJunkin to let him know that we're not going to be able to hold here this afternoon.
Here's Skiles, his first attempt, and Williams comes down to the rebound. Rebounding very key in this game. Michigan State will have a tough time staying on the boards with Georgetown. Here's Williams from outside.
Interesting here, Scott Skiles will be the man to inbound the ball against the pressure. Then he will step in, they'll try to get it back in his hands rather than have him try to be inbounds and get open.
Skiles has it stripped away from behind, and we're going to have a foul on Skiles as he tries to retrieve it. Scott Skiles with his first foul. Skiles played 40 minutes the other night, Doug, and the question is, where does all that stamina come from?
Scott Skiles is one of these players who knows when to pick his spots, when to take a rest without hurting his team. When they play the matchup zone like they are right now, he'll be at the point, and he'll take a little blow occasionally because they need his offense so desperately on the other end of the floor.
Judd Heathcote said Magic Johnson did the same thing when he led the Spartans to the national title in '79. You got to pick your spots. 2-0 Georgetown. Williams again.
And Reggie, with that smooth style, has given the Hoyas a 4-0 lead.
Well, Reggie Williams is a great offensive player in his own right. A lot of times, because of the balance on this Georgetown team, you'd have a tendency to forget how good he is offensively, but he and Wingate must have good offensive ball games for Georgetown to be successful in the tournament.
Here's Vernon Carr, kicks it off to Darrell Johnson, and Johnson from Flint, a very fine player in his own right. Between Skiles and Johnson this year, they get 46 points in the backcourt each game. 4-2 Georgetown. David Wingate, it opened up for him. 6-2 Georgetown.
That's too easy. Those are the kind of baskets that you must make Georgetown not get during the course of the game, Gary. You can't give them those layups.
Skiles, his range is unlimited. They'll have to come out. They'll have to respect the range where he is right now. He'll put it up from anywhere. Dalton out, a mismatch. And he blocked the shot. Retrieved by Darrell Johnson, and Johnson can't get it. Dalton has the rebound. Michael Jackson hit a big shot in that victory over Texas Tech with about 7 seconds on the shot clock. And according to John Thompson, probably doesn't shoot enough. Wingate, look at Darrell Johnson, his quickness. To Skiles, 3-on-2. Off to Darrell, and he misses again. And inside, we're going to have a foul. As going up with it, Fordham, and committing a foul was Williams, and he already has 2.
We talked about Skiles taking a blow on defense. Here he just allows Wingate to go right around him. Those are the kind of plays you can't take a rest on, Gary. When you're in a matchup zone, you can't let that man split you. You must force them to shoot the ball from the perimeter.
This Michigan State team is an outstanding shooting team. They set a Big Ten record this year with 55% from the field, and Skiles misses, so they're not hitting well. Johnson's missed 2. Skiles has missed a pair. It's 6-2 Georgetown. A foul on Williams with 2, so he'll have to take it a little easy now in the early going with 16:56 in the first half. That'll be out of play. It hit the guy wire. It'll be Michigan State's ball.
David Wingate struggled offensively the other night in the ball game against Texas Tech, shot 2 for 12. He's got to get it on track. He and Williams are their offensive players. He must shoot a higher percentage than that today.
Michigan State's going to have to shoot a better percentage. Thus far, they're 1 of 5 from the field.
You have to think they're going to crank it up, though, Gary. They're shooting 56% as a team on the year.
Carr misses. They're now 1 of 6. Broken up beautifully by Pollock. He anticipated that pass to Highsmith. It's thrown away by Georgetown. That was heads-up defense by Pollock here.
Well, we know Georgetown likes to run the alley-oop. We see him running the lane here. A little alley-oop play for Highsmith, and Pollock, who is an underrated leaper, he really jumps very well. That time broke up the play nicely.
He's playing with a very tender knee that slowed his progress in the last 3 or 4 games, but you drop off of him, he'll pop one. He can shoot well. 6-2 Georgetown. Here he is taking it inside. Nice reverse. The Spartans trail by 2. Here is Jackson, the all-time assist man at Georgetown. I wondered, with Wingate starting at guard, he's out of a familiar spot. Does that affect your shooting?
Well, it does, especially what's going to affect his shooting, Gary, as we see an offensive foul there. But here's Pollock on the last play, driving it, using the backboard and the rim as a shield, taking it to the other side of the basket. Great play by Pollock. Down on the other end of the floor, we had an offensive foul on Ralph Dalton. But Gary, to answer your question, I think what will hurt him more than the unfamiliar position is the fact that he's got to concentrate so much on Skiles defensively.
Barry Fordham misses. Pollock misses. Dalton brings it down and rips it out of there. Now it's a hell ball, and this one will go to Michigan State. Check it, Georgetown. Georgetown will have it on the alternating hell ball. And now substitution. This is going to be Jonathan Edwards, number 42, is on the All-Big East freshman team. Highsmith will leave. Edwards, one of 3 players from New Orleans, and he'll come into the center spot. And also coming into the ball game is Jaron Jackson, 21. So Williams with 2 fouls will sit down. 6-4 Georgetown, 15:40 to go in this first half. This is Jackson, another one of the New Orleans connection.
Michigan State in that familiar matchup zone defense, Gary. What that is you play a man in an area. If he cuts through to the basket, you go to a point where your teammate can pick him up, and then you release him and go back and pick up another man who has just vacated that spot.
Michael Jackson, he'll keep the zone on us if he can hit that. Here they come. Carr, Johnson, Carr. And it's going to be a blocking foul on Michael Jackson. That's his first, 4th team foul. Vernon Carr, many of the viewers may not know much about him, but he was the best junior college player in the country a year ago.
Well, let's watch. This is Michigan State at its best. We see Carr, Johnson, and Skiles on the break. Vernon Carr taking it to the basket. He's an outstanding player on the fast break. He got fouled, and Gary, he got injured on a play very similar to that the other night against Washington. He fell on his wrist. We see his wrist heavily taped, and it was very sore today.
You know, he's not wearing his goggles, though, Doug. He got hurt in a game against Indiana, and it looked like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar out here on Thursday night, but now he's shed those. He played very well the other night, but goggles or no goggles, he shoots it well.
Well, I was always very superstitious. If I played well with something, I would not change it, especially after he came out against Washington the other day. I'd put him back on if I were him.
Is that the reason you wear that same tie every broadcast?
That's exactly right. You're not supposed to say that.
It's even at 6. Jaron Jackson, baseline, intended inside. They overpassed it. Off it comes to Johnson. This is his game to get down and catch his sleeping.
Skiles needs this jumper to get going.
Doesn't go, and it's brought out by Michael Jackson. Nice pass to Wingate, and he's fouled. Pollock goes into the stands along with official Mickey Crowley. Both are okay. And that's that fast transition tempo basketball we expect today.
When you get back against Georgetown, you must see the play. Michael Jackson, a little look-away pass, and David Wingate is a superior athlete taking the ball to the basket. Those are the kind of slashing plays that makes Wingate the player he is offensively. I would not consider him a good outside shooter. He can hit it enough to make the offense or defense come out and play him, but he likes to take it to the basket, jackknife, and use the basket and get fouled.
Highsmith is checked back into the Georgetown lineup. Dalton has left the lineup as Wingate hits it. Wingate from Baltimore. He played at Dunbar High School. He and Reggie Williams were high school teammates. They had a string at one time, but they won 59 straight games. Wingate gets them both, and we're going to have a break in the action with 14:22 to go in this first half. Georgetown in the early going by 2.
Michigan State's matchup zone. It looks like a man-to-man, but it's a matchup zone. Let's watch as the ball moves. We're going to see Barry Fordham in the middle of the zone. When it goes down to the baseline after penetration, he must get down to the baseline. And then Vernon Carr there with nice rotation kicks the ball loose. That's the way the matchup zone is supposed to be played, Gary. Play passing angles, force people to try to make those interior passes, get your hands on the ball, and then get back into your transition offense.
Georgetown doesn't want to run that half-court offense. If they could get into that breaking, running game, they'd love it better. And now they trail by 2. Skiles has missed his first 4 shots. He's 0 for 4. As a team, 2 of 10 for Michigan State. Fordham on the retrieve.
This is the kind of easy basket that Judd Heathcote was talking to us about yesterday. They've got to get some easy scores against Georgetown. Georgetown holds their opponents to 41% shooting from the field on the season.
Kicked out to Williams. This is Jackson off to the other Jackson, Michael. You know, in the game that they played earlier this week against Washington, they're in the zone, and they were kind of stoic early. They come out in the zone here, and they have a little better quickness than we saw Thursday night. There's a nice move by Jonathan Edwards.
I thought yesterday Judd Heathcote made another interesting comment. He said, if we're not quick, we're not good. And what he means by that is they have to be on their toes all the time, have that extra step quickness to get to the loose balls and do all the little things that makes them a special team.
Skiles needs one to go in, and he's now 0 for 5. Williams rips it down, and I would imagine that hasn't happened to Scott Skiles very often to miss these first 5 shots. And they're good shots, too.
They've destroyed his rhythm a little bit. They've forced him to pump fake and do some things. He's shooting a lot of standstill shots right now. If I were him, I'd try to maybe come down and transition and get something going on the move, maybe get myself going a little bit.
You've had that happen to you, I suspect, right?
Well, as a shooter, though, you've got to feel like that if you've shot 58% on the year, eventually you're going to start knocking them in. You can't quit shooting because you might as well go sit down if you're going to do that.
What'd you tell me? You can't have a conscience?
That's right. Great offensive players have no conscience.
There's Edwards again. He forced that one, and we have a foul inside. It's going to be on Highsmith.
Jonathan Edwards, a big, strong player inside. He's double teamed, but yet he still gets the little jump hook off. And if Georgetown can get that kind of play out of Jonathan Edwards in the middle, it will expand, or it will cause that defense to be packed back in. Then Reggie Williams and Michael Jackson will be able to fire away from the outside.
And he's got such powerful body to take it inside like that. It's 10-8. That last foul on Highsmith was his first.
If I were Skiles, I'd try to get something going here on the move, Gary. Every shot he's taking, stand still. They like to run this weave.
That little dribble handoff.
It's the old Boston Celtic weave. See if he gets something going on the move.
Skiles, beautiful pass to Pollard. But if you're not scoring, let somebody else get the ball, huh?
Well, although he didn't get the 2 points, you might as well have put it in his column because once he got in the lane, 4 people converged on him, and he made a terrific pass through traffic for an easy layup.
Inside it goes again, and that's got to be Georgetown's game. Highsmith. The Hoyas by a pair. There's the pressure now, and they get it into Vernon Carr. They have 3 excellent ball handlers, Carr, Johnson, and Skiles. I would think it would be very hard to pressure this team. Johnson hits it. In fact, Judd Heathcote told me their teams have tried it, Doug, and then they give it up about 4 or 5 minutes into the game.
Well, when your strength lies in your 3 smallest people in the open court, it's very difficult to pressure those kind of people because what happens is you break the defense down, and now Pollock and Fordham get easy baskets.
11:30 to go in this first half. The winner of this game will play the winner of Kansas Temple next week in Kansas City. Jackson, nice follow by Highsmith. The 25-year-old Army veteran with nice touch on that one.
3 straight baskets now from Georgetown, what I would consider easy baskets in the lane, a tip in and 2 easy turnaround jump shots. Michigan State's got to clamp down on the inside.
All the Michigan State starters have scored except for Scott Skiles. Skiles trying to shake loose off the ball now. Carr with some difficulty. They kick it out to Johnson. Johnson from Flint, one of many outstanding players to come out of Flint, Michigan.
Skiles has had 3 different players playing him already here in the first half. He's had Jaren Jackson, he's had Michael Jackson, and he's had David Wingate.
Nice ball pump fake, and we're going to have a foul. And I would say they got their money's worth on that foul. That will be the 6th-team foul. The foul going on Jackson is first. And we have some mass substitutions now. Brodnex has come in. Well, now here's what we're talking about, the flexibility of Georgetown, the waves of defense, how they can throw them at Scott Skiles.
Well, when you look at this, Williams, Wingate, Michael Jackson, Jaren Jackson, Perry McDonald, all those players have the capability of playing Scott Skiles. You add 5 fouls to all those players, and they have a lot of fouls to waste trying to wear him down. Gary, I've noticed here early in the ball game, Scott Skiles looks a little heavy-legged. His shot is a little flat. He doesn't have the spring he had the other night, and I'm wondering how much of that energy he expended the other night that he's feeling this afternoon against this Georgetown team.
I'll tell you what, though, a couple of those shots go down, those heavy legs might disappear, but a very good point, Doug. You would appreciate that probably more than anyone playing a long NBA season. Those wave of defenders are interesting. This year, 7 guards have fouled out trying to guard Scott Skiles. You don't expect that to happen, though, the way they can spread it out today.
When you play against, when you're a Scott Skiles and you have to work so hard and your legs get tired, the first place it's affected is in your shot, and normally what will happen is it'll be short. Every shot he's taken today has been short.
However, I will say this, Michigan State is playing better than they did early in that game Thursday. They were very, very out of their game on that early going against Washington Thursday night. Williams, and what a beautiful shot that is from the baseline. He is fun to watch. Georgetown by 2.
We have Wingate back in the ball game now. He's on Skiles. You cannot help out defensively. You're so taught to play team defense. When you play against Scott Skiles, you must focus on him at all times.
That jumper going by Carlton Valentine, who just checked in. Valentine into the game for the first time, along with Ralph Walker, number 15. We had numerous substitutions, and we have our 7th tie, and Brodnex breaks that one. Brodnex playing with a back problem. He's had some spasm problems in his back. Before the game looked very stiff. That ball knocked out of bounds. It'll be Michigan State. We have a timeout. 9:43 to go in this fast-paced game. Georgetown still by 2.
The upper level in the corner seats.
Doug Collins. Doug, we talked about what an impact player Scott Skiles is. Look at this.
Well, he leads his team in everything except rebounds, and he's second there at 6'1". But, you know, Scott Skiles today, I've noticed he does not have the animation today that he had. He needs to get fired up, even if it's a superficial kind of animation right now, to get his teams going. They thrive on him and the way he fires his team up. I'd like to see him, you know, if I were a teammate, you know, even if it was some false enthusiasm, get going a little bit today.
But it reminds me a little bit of Thursday. They started very slowly, and then they came out in the man-to-man defense second half and exploded. This is off to Walker, broken up, and a foul. No, 3 seconds in the lane. Instead, they'll give it to Georgetown. Second turnover now against Michigan State. Let me ask you something, Doug. They came out in that man-to-man, ignited him. Maybe they don't have the stamina to play the man-to-man the whole game.
They don't, and also, too, when you play against a team like Georgetown that is so quick and they have such versatile players, your matchups are very difficult. Judd Heathcote feels he can only play man-to-man defense for maybe a 7 or 8 minute stretch during the course of a game, and then his matchup zone has to carry him the other 32 or 33 minutes.
Into Ralph Dalton. Dalton, reverse pivot on Fordham. Tipped out to Johnson. And he loses it. It'll be off of Georgetown. You know, Georgetown is playing real well. Look at this, 61%, but Doug, they only have a 2-point lead.
Well, if I were Judd Heathcote, I'd be very excited about the fact that I'm only down 2 and my leading scorer's only got 2 free throws in the ball game, and we're shooting 37% and the opponent is shooting 61%.
Daryl Johnson, and now Johnson, after missing 2 early, has started to heat up. He has 6 points. It's tied again. Wingate moving inside, and that is his position. No basket, however. A foul will go against Daryl Johnson. A foul before the shot. That's the first on Daryl Johnson. 3rd team foul against the Spartans as Vernon Carr comes back into the Spartan lineup. Carr is out of the Detroit area. Went to Highland Park Junior College in Michigan. And just heavily recruited out of the junior college ranks and fits into the style so well as now Edwards replaces this man, Ronnie Highsmith. 18 apiece. 8:30 left to go in this first half. And that's going to be off of Georgetown. Wingate touched it last. This game, Doug, is close like we expected, but it's not happening the way you would expect it.
No, the intensity right now is not what you'd expect. Skiles in losing the ball with the defense trailing it, kicking away from it.
Brodnack's missing. Walker on the rebound. Walker had strong games down the stretch for Michigan State in Big Ten play. Johnson again. Rebound by Valentine, who played at DeMatha High School. And he gets a roll. Carlton Valentine, a sophomore at 6'6", 20-18, and Michigan State on top for the first time in this game. And listen to the Michigan State rooters.
It's really the first time the crowd has been in the ball game, too. Both these teams seem to have each other sort of lulled to sleep. It's like a heavyweight fight right now, and they're both just sort of throwing jabs. Nobody's really going at anybody right now.
Going at it pretty well there was the graduate student, Ralph Dalton, and he ties it up. I'll tell you one thing they're doing, they're saving Skiles a lot of energy by Johnson bringing the ball up the floor every time.
Yeah, they're not making him handle the ball against the pressure. They want him to catch it in scoring territory.
Valentine doesn't get it, and Dalton can't control it. Michigan State will have the ball. Let's look at some defense.
This is good help defense. This is what you're taught as a player. Shut the lane off. That's exactly what Jonathan Edwards does. He comes up and as a big man, he stops penetration. The man coming from behind kicks it loose for a turnover. That's great team defense. See a little trapping defense now by Georgetown for the first time today. A little 1-3-1 trap.
And they're really stretching that defense out, aren't they? They're pushing them way back on the floor.
Well, they're extending to their shooters. There's Skiles.
Look out now.
That's the first time he's shown any emotion after he made that basket. He put his fist up in the air. Let's look to see if he'll come down and try to fire another one. He is a very streaky player.
John Thompson probably winced when he saw that one go through. Now Michael Jackson wants some instruction from his coach. You said we're not going to have the shot clock really come into play very often in this game. Here's Brodnax again. He's 1 of 2, now 1 of 3. Ripped down. Valentine doing a pretty good job since he's coming there, and then he loses it. Judd Heathcote substituting more freely in this game than he did Thursday, bringing in guys like Valentine early and Walker, who's now playing Dalton in the pivot. Here's Reggie. And that'll be off of Carr.
When you rebound the ball against Georgetown, you cannot be lazy with it. There we saw Valentine lazy with it. Reggie Williams with a quick hand strips it loose and then gets down on the floor to gain the possession of the ball. Then after the Reggie Williams missed jumper, Michigan State knocked the ball out of bounds, so Georgetown getting 3 cracks at the basket on this possession.
And that's what Judd didn't want, is those passes and those rebounds where you come back in and get more than 1 crack at it. As you see, Pollock has come into the ball game now. He replaced Walker. 22-20, Michigan State. That was touched by Scott Skiles. And now Wingate will return. And Brodnex will lead. Georgetown has hit only 2 of their last 7 shots. 5:53 left to go in the first half. Into Jonathan Edwards. Edwards with 4, ties it up.
Georgetown is doing a very good job finding the seam of that matchup zone, getting the ball to Edwards, getting it to Dalton, without making them put it on the floor. They're catching it, turning it around, and shooting either easy jump shots or little jump hooks off the backboard.
Now Scott being a little more active offensively. Gets it inside to Valentine. Partially blocked, and it's going to be off of Georgetown. Let's wait and see. Good effort by Valentine. He had to change his shot, and in so doing came up short. And now coming out of the ball game will be Valentine. Barry Fordham has come in. Michigan State will have the basketball after that flurry on the baseline.
They like to run a little out of bounds play for Skiles coming baseline off the inline out of bounds. Georgetown in the zone defense. Skiles will shoot it from deep.
Carr in trouble, and he has been fouled. It will go on Highsmith. Ronnie Highsmith with 2. Now they're shooting free throws as we're into the 1-and-1. I'm Gary Bender along with Doug Collins. The second round game from the Midwest region. Michigan State against Georgetown. The winner will move on to Kansas City and will eventually play the winner of Kansas Temple, the second game to unfold here today. Carr at the line with 2 points and a rebound, 2 of 2 from the line.
I talked to Scott Skiles before the game, and being from Plymouth, Indiana, I asked him, what he thought about the tournament yesterday. He could not believe that his Indiana teams got knocked out. Notre Dame and Indiana both eliminated in the first round by Arkansas, Little Rock, and by
Add Ball
Cleveland
State to that, too.
Ball State, that's right.
It was a dark day for the Hoosier State. At Plymouth, Indiana, you might recall, Scott Skiles led them to the state championship his senior year, a school of about 800. And now Michigan State by 2 with 4:55 left to go in the first half. Very good patience by this Georgetown team. That was not a good shot, but Williams got it to go. After all that, they did not take a good percentage shot, but Reggie Williams now with 8 points. 24 all. The 11th tie of the game. Here's Skiles. He loves this shot. Doesn't get it. Pollock is fouled by Williams, and that's his 3rd. Reggie Williams has committed his 3rd foul. And that is the guy that John Thompson can least afford to have out of the lineup.
Reggie Williams is an outstanding rebounder, both on the offensive and defensive backboard. He's their best offensive player. So right now, John Thompson has got to go to his bench. He's going to bring in Horace Brodnax for Reggie Williams, who will probably sit out the last 4:13 here of the first half. And, Horace Brodnax has had a bad back, and the last time he was in the ballgame, he had a jump shot, and he looked very stiff taking it. And, Gary, you've had a bad back, and you know how difficult it is to move around out there. And he was very, very stiff shooting that last jumper.
Well, he was very stiff when he came out to warm up. We noticed that first. Michigan State now is 7 of 7 from the free throw line. So their leading scorer and rebounder, Reggie Williams, has to sit down with 4:13 to go in this first half. Spartans by 1. There he is, an all Big East performer.
if this ball game goes down to the wire and it becomes a free throw shooting contest in the last 2, 3, 4 minutes, you must give the edge to Michigan State. They're shooting 80% as a team.
And the Spartans by 2. 4:13 to go in the second round game of the first half.
4 minutes, 13 seconds.
Have their instructions from Judd Heathcote, and each player has his own individual stool.
A lot of times you do this, Gary, for a couple reasons. First of all, when you go on the road in a lot of places, they put the wildest fans a lot of times behind your bench to distract you during timeouts. So he'll pull these little stools out on the floor where he can talk to his team. Secondly, sometimes as a coach, your language gets a little bit harsh, and you don't want to have people in the stands hear you, so you sort of get away from the action. And I'm sure Judd has a couple reasons he likes to get his players out there.
Well, we have some campsite campers there, you know, a little fireside chat.
Believe me, they'll never get Scott Skiles to sit down in one of those stools.
Let alone stand still. He's moving around all the time. Michael Jackson in this game having a tough time getting going. Hasn't scored. He has 3 assists in the game, but the zone they've been playing, he's got to shoot well from outside.
Well, they're now going man-to-man defensively. This is the first possession they've shown man-to-man. Let's see how Georgetown attacks it.
We expected maybe to see this in the second half, but they've come out of the man now. Nice retrieve by Wingate. They've got a couple of putbacks, and that's what Judd Heathcote was concerned about. It's going to be off of Michigan State.
Georgetown just playing volleyball there on the offensive backboard, and I'm not so sure that Michigan State didn't come out in this defense because Reggie Williams is in foul trouble. They feel now they can match up, maybe put some pressure on him defensively, maybe get a 6 or 8 point spurt here before halftime.
3.5 left until halftime. Now look at him. They shifted back into it. Really changing it up now defensively. And this guy has to start shooting from outside. Wingate, it's really not the kind of shot he wants to take. Here's Brodnax coming out of there somehow over the back of Vernon Carr. Wingate, as you said, is a better penetrator, a lean-in guy. That time it doesn't go. Michigan State by 2. Reach around on Skiles to Fordham. You know, Barry Fordham averages only 2 shots a game, but he makes them count.
We saw him against Michigan earlier in the year, had not hardly touched the ball on the offensive end of the floor, and he made the 2 key baskets that sort of sealed their doom in Ann Arbor this year.
They call him Mr. Team. He's a blender. He just fits in where they need him. Here's Brodnax, and he looked better on that shot, Doug.
The last time down the floor, he tried to penetrate and shoot a lean-in shot. You could see he was effective. That time, standstill jump shot. He looked a lot more comfortable taking that one.
Michigan State by 2.
Little dribble handoff here that Michigan State likes to run.
Here's Scott trying to create as only he can do, and he's fouled. John Thompson wanted to travel, but it's going to be a foul instead. Coming back into the lineup now is Jaron Jackson for Georgetown. The foul will go on Ralph Dalton. That will be his second personal foul.
It appears to me right now with Scott Skiles, he realizes his outside jump shot is not going. So now he's going to try to use his creative ability, get in the lane, maybe draw some fouls. He's a 90% free throw shooter. They're in the bonus situation, so if your jumper's not going, get inside, get to the free throw line, maybe get yourself now on a rhythm that will help your jump shot.
He was 6th in the nation in free throw shooting, and Michigan State has not missed from the free throw line in this game. Nor has Georgetown, for that matter. State now with a 4-point lead. Here's Jackson, just checked in off the bench, and he drills it. Tough to do to come off the bench like that and shoot that well against the zone, but he pulled it off. Here's Vernon Carr, 6'6", gets it off to Skiles. Baseline Fordham, blocked and fouled. It'll be Highsmith on the foul. And that's the 3rd on Highsmith. So 2 of the Hoyas now with 3 fouls, Williams and Highsmith.
Georgetown is being extended now defensively. Their defense is sort of a little shaky there in the open court right now, and as a result, Michigan State attacking the basket, not settling for jump shots, but when they beat the defense, attacking the basket, and we see Scott Skiles talking to his assistant coach there, and that's the first miss today for Michigan State from the free throw line.
50 seconds remain in the first half.
Judd Heathcote, who won the Big Ten title in 78 and 79, and of course the national title in 79. Now he's up.
He was upset that the PA man was talking while his player was shooting a free throw.
Let me ask you something, and this has been a pet peeve of mine. They keep announcing the time here on the PA. I don't know why they have to do that.
I think that's unnecessary. The clock up there will let you know how much time there is on the floor. You do not need someone to announce that unless there's something wrong with the clock.
That's the way I feel. Anyway, 4 to miss. Good point by Judd. You know, Doug, you know what it's like to be at that line. It's amazing sometimes how you can get distracted.
Yeah, you've got to just focus everything on the basket and forget about anything else going on in the building. And that time, 2 misses by Fordham. That could really hurt here at the end of the half.
Rebound by Carr. They kick it out. 3-on-1 this time, and now he's fouled. The foul on Jackson. Skiles had a 3-on-1 break until he was fouled. That will be the foul on Jackson, his second. By the way, at the conclusion of every CBS Sports NCAA tournament broadcast, we'll be selecting a Chevrolet Most Valuable Player from each team, and Chevrolet donates a $1,000 scholarship to the General Scholarship Fund of each school to further assist qualified students in all chosen academic fields.
You got to love offensive players. They know they've got a man running beside them. Oh, Skiles missed a free throw, but Skiles baited the Georgetown player into that foul. He made a little contact and went down on the floor. Well, I would have bet that he would have knocked both of those free throws in.
Well, State now has missed 3 in a row from the line. (30-28) Michigan State, 1:15 to go in the first half. Here's Michael Jackson, who's 0 for 2 from the field, and it's buried. Rodnex, who now is 3 of 6 from the field. It's tied again at 30. Skiles off to Pollard. Doesn't get the roll. All of a sudden now, Michigan State's gone very cold, both from the field and the line.
Georgetown will probably try to use the clock, Gary. There's about 10-second difference between the shot clock and the game clock. They can be very patient. Try to get a good score here. Force Michigan State then to come down and get a good shot to maybe tie the ball game to go into halftime.
Are you surprised Jackson's not shooting more? I know John Thompson feels he needs to shoot more. He's got to shoot against his zone. Dalton, bad shot. Pollock comes up with it to Darrell Johnson. Vernon Carr, this is his game. He loves to duck inside on the break. Well, they didn't do what you thought they'd do.
No, they didn't, and it hurt them. Michigan State was able to get a transition basket. I thought Ralph Dalton took a very difficult shot there on the baseline. He was almost behind the basket.
So now they'll go for the last shot of this first half.
They've got a foul to waste. They could have wasted a foul there. They gave Michael Jackson the open jumper.
And Jackson does not help his confidence as he misses that one. 32-30 our score. Michigan State with the advantage. CBS Sports coverage of NCAA basketball will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
That was only 1 of 7, yet the Spartans have a 2-point lead. Now, if Skiles at 6'1" is not proof enough that big things sometimes come in little packages, later today on CBS, you're going to see another of college basketball's mighty mites in action. He is Andre Turner of Memphis State. Andre the Giant Killer, they call him.
Short people got no reason. Short people got no reason. Short people got...
Basketball isn't a big man's game. It's a game for, I guess, the individual who has the heart to play it.
He's a guy, he's 5'9.5". We'll give him 5'10", and he's a guy that is just a great leader. I mean, he doesn't, he's probably, as far as leadership, he's the tallest guy on the floor.
Like the other little big men before him, there are no obstacles too tall for Andre to scale. And the players he really looks up to are the guys he can look right in the eye.
Spud is, he's exciting, and I mean, like myself, I try to, I guess, do the things that he do out on the court. I mean, the steals that he makes from the big guys and the quickness that we have, is our asset.
When we start defense with him, we start offense with him. I termed him the little general. He's a guy that just he knows not how to lose, doesn't think of it.
Turner, here they go. Turner, good defense. He hits the shot.
If you watch last year's tournament, chances are you remember these moments.
To hit that last shot, I mean, it's, there's no feeling like it.
You can tell when Andre is fired up. He had that look in his eye, the killer look. He's just ready to play ball. When he's ready to play ball, then everybody else is ready.
He approaches each game with a purpose to better serve the memory of his father who passed away last year.
The last half of my season last year, I dedicated it to him, and this season also. And I do, feel that he's looking over me, and he's watching out for me.
It's as if the angels themselves are smiling on Andre, who wants only to silence those who whisper you're too small to make it.
people tell you that, you know, you're not able to play collegiate basketball, and then, you know, nowadays to hear him tell you that, you know, you're not going to be drafted, you can't play in the NBA, you know, I guess, you know, that makes you play that much harder.
Short people got no reason. Short people got no reason.
Now, Andre will be featured in one of our second games against LSU, and of course the main storyline there is, can Memphis State beat LSU down in Baton Rouge? Many of you will also be watching Duke against Old Dominion. Duke was less than impressive in the early going against Mississippi Valley State. They are favored again, and of course they are the top-seeded team in the tourney. As for Kansas, they go against Temple, and many believe right now that Kansas is playing the best basketball of any college team in the country, and those are the games we'll be checking out in round 2 of our triple header today, and the road to the Final Four continues on CBS in just a moment. NCAA Final Four, the women are on the road to Lexington, and there is a definite team to beat, coached by Jody Conrad. They are the Texas Longhorns, and they shot 75% from the floor. Clarissa Davis taking the pass down low for the Lady Horns and putting it in. They are unbeaten, and Kami Etheridge going to Davis on the pass, who takes it in for the layup. Missouri was very cold, and the Lady Horns hit 75% from the floor. They are now 30-0. Fran Harris led Texas with 24 points, and Clarissa Davis added 21. Texas had 5 women in double figures, and you can see they won it 108-67. And also in the women's Midwest region, Auburn was a winner, 61-39. Now taking a look at that bracket, Texas will play the winner of the Vanderbilt-Oklahoma game, and Auburn will take on the winner of Drake, Mississippi. Now in the East, Penn State came away with a victory over North Carolina State, and in that bracket, Penn State will play the winner of the Villanova-Rutgers game in the East. And the Women's Championship will be televised live on CBS. That, of course, is at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. That's on March 30th, a Sunday. That is the day before the championship game, which will be played in Dallas on Monday night. And we'll continue with the second half coming up now. Michigan State leading Georgetown by 2, 32-30 in just a moment.
In this game, and at the halfway point, Michigan State leading Georgetown 32-30 here at the Dayton Arena in the second round game in the Midwest region. Michigan State's leading by 2, but they're not shooting near as well as they did Thursday night.
No, the other night in the ball game, you had Daryl Johnson shot 11 for 13, Skiles 12 for 21 for a total of 23 for 34. Today they're combined 4 of 14 in the game, which tells you how tough this Georgetown defense is.
Well, Scott Skiles is 1 of 7. On the other side, though, David Wingate is really struggling in this tournament.
Well, he shot 2 for 12 in the ball game on Thursday night. Now to come out today, 1 for 6, so he's 3 of 18 in the tournament. I think he's starting to force his shot a little bit. He is a slashing kind of player, but I think he's taken some very difficult shots here in the first half.
And playing a guard spot as opposed to the forward spot. Intensity. It's not what we expected. It's a different game.
It really is, and I'm not so sure that Michigan State's not happy with this tempo. They're winning by 2. I think they're a little concerned about getting in too much of a run-shoot game with these athletes from Georgetown.
So you say they're in good position. Georgetown, on the other hand, has 2 guys with 3 fouls, and Highsmith, who picked it up, and Reggie Williams.
Reggie Williams is going to be a big key. He must come out and play aggressively without picking up that 4th foul. If he gets the 4th foul, Georgetown is in big trouble.
It'll be interesting to see how they start the second half. In that second half Thursday night, Michigan State went into the man-to-man. They were down by 10, and they ran off 13 straight points.
Well, I think that right now we'll have to see whether Michigan State comes out in that man-to-man defense or not. If they do, I think it'll be only for a short period of time.
Who is that man?
I have no idea who that young guy is right
well,
there.
I liked his hairstyle. Look at this. Boy, this guy now, you talk about no conscience. He just keeps shooting the ball, whether he was hitting or not. Dougie Collins.
Oh, yeah, now they're going to break out this picture. That is really great, right? These guys
now,
are
I want to hear the background
on
this one. Your wife is watching at home.
Well, that's when I came back from the Olympics and getting a little bit of a welcome home.
Okay, I'll believe that. CBS sports coverage of NCAA basketball will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
Today's Midwest Region second round game is sponsored by Michelin. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires. Century 21 Real Estate Organization. And by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light.
Dayton Arena in Dayton, Ohio. Second round game in the Midwest region. Michigan State leading Georgetown at the halfway point, 32-30. And I'm just really anxious, Doug Collins, to see how this game starts in the second half, whether Michigan State comes out flying like they did Thursday night.
Well, they have a choice to make. Are they happy with the tempo now, the fact they have a lead, or would they like to maybe roll dice on a 5-minute spurt and see if they could pick them up man-to-man, maybe get some transition baskets? We'll have to see what's going on in Judd Heathcote's mind right now.
Georgetown started out shooting pretty well, 61%. They have dropped off, as you can see, to 45. Ready to go now. The winner, they head to Kansas City next week to play the winner of Game 2 here between Kansas and Temple.
You know, if Michigan State hadn't missed those free throws at the end of the half, they could have really been in a good position. They could have been up about 6. They missed their last 3 free throws.
Back door, Vernon Carr. Dalton there with a rebound. Michael Jackson 0 for 3, shooting from outside. Here's Williams playing with 3 personal fouls, as is Highsmith. Tipped outside to Jackson. Well, they're coming out in the zone, Doug. Here is Dalton. Misfired, Highsmith to follow.
Well, that's exactly the way the game started out. Georgetown just playing volleyball off the offensive boards.
Scott Skiles hit a wet spot in the floor. He goes down, and he's able to draw the foul. Look at him. He is continually talking. He talked to Andy Russo, the Washington coach, Thursday night, and every player that came in to guard him, they had a verbal battle going continually.
You know what? And I got to give Georgetown an awful lot of credit today. You know, my philosophy, when you play against a guy like Scott Skiles, don't say anything. That has a tendency to make him play better. Keep the verbal warfare at a minimum. Just go out and play and let the game, be played on the floor and not with the mouth.
Here's Scott Skiles, and Skiles 1 of 7 in the first half, varies that way. The Spartans by 2, Skiles with 8 points. 1 minute gone by in the second half. Dalton, look at Fordham chesting out Dalton. He does a good job of that. He just does yeoman work inside, trying to front or back up the guy, keep him out away from the basket.
And he gets very little credit for it, because in the box score it says he has 2 points and 3 rebounds, but you don't realize what he does underneath.
Nice move by Reggie Williams. It's expected of the man who is so smooth, who has 10 points. Skiles is fouled by Michael Jackson. Jackson committing the foul, his second. Second team foul against the Hoyas, and Skiles will go to the line. To get back to what you're talking about on Skiles, we were sitting behind the Washington bench at the game the other night, and a man by the name of Muscatel, who was the guard for Washington, came over to Andy Russo and says, "I've got Scott Skiles' mind now. I've got him where I want him." And obviously it didn't happen that way.
Scott Skiles got this look on his face like, you do not have any way of getting close to my mind, and he just went on to get 31 points. But that's what I'm talking. When you start banging him on the floor and making it physical and start talking to him, it gets his teammates fired up, and it gets him fired up, and he becomes an altogether different player. I think that Georgetown has taken that animation out of him today.
36-34. John Thompson said we'd have to focus on him. I guess there's different ways to focus on a player without getting wrapped up in all of that. Here's Jaron Jackson and a lean in. Rebound, Barry Fordham out of Buffalo, brings it out to Skiles. Pollock from the side. He's not shooting well in this tournament.
And he's also not following his shot. If he would have followed his shot, he'd had a layup.
That is going to be a blocking foul on Skiles. His second foul.
This is a great call by the official. Scott Skiles never gets there. Michael Jackson slides to the side, and Scott Skiles looked like he slid his body out there. He never really got there in position to defend that shot. And Michael Jackson did the smart thing. He took the ball right to the basket. Let's take a look here. Let's see at the last moment of Scott Skiles. He sticks his chest out, and when he stuck his chest out, he forced the contact. If he would have kept himself in good position, maybe he would have gotten the call.
Jackson looking for his first point of the game. 36-35. He can tie it up. Michael Jackson out of Reston, Virginia. He is an excellent free throw shooter, shooting 82%, and he misses the second.
The old kiss of death. He's an excellent free throw shooter, and boom, a miss.
How many times do you think that happened to your career?
Oh, too many.
I heard you talk about me all the time, and that's why I always missed.
Here's Skiles, people in his face. Dalton came clear out in front of him. He still hit it.
Gary, the difference is he's shooting his shot on the move. Both shots he's hit in the second half have been off a screen on the move, not standing still. That forces him to get his legs into the shot.
And he is now talking to the official. He thought he should have been fouled on that last one. 38-35, Michigan State with the lead.
News story for you. It is being revealed that Gary Williams has quit as head coach at Boston College, and Ohio State at this moment is naming Gary as its new head basketball coach. No word from Boston College yet on who will succeed Gary. Now let's go back to Gary Bender and Doug Collins in Dayton. Gary?
Okay, Brent, Columbus about an hour away from Dayton, and there are a lot of Ohio State fans down here, and they were coming down all excited talking about the press conference. And as you just heard, Gary Williams, what an addition he'll be to Ohio State.
Well, a young coach, great enthusiasm. I think he's a great choice for that school, and look out for Ohio State because they've had the talent in the past, and this guy can really coach. I think it's a great choice.
38-35 when we come back into the action. 17:20 to go in the second half of play, and Michigan State still in that zone.
This is where Skiles gets a chance to rest. Right here, they're not moving the basketball.
Wingate on the move. Wingate ducking inside, and the foul is going to go on Pollock. That will be his first. That's his game, though, Doug. He just doesn't want to put it up outside. He wants to duck in, slither inside if he possibly can.
The problem is when you're that kind of player, you take a lot of difficult shots, and when you get in a little bit of a slump, it starts playing with your mind. You start double pumping the shot. You get inside. You start looking to get fouled rather than make the shot. And David Wingate, he needs a couple baskets here to get himself going.
Look at this, 3 of 18. Struggling. Today is 2 of 2 from the line. Wingate now with a chance to pull him within 1. John Thompson, his team has been in the championship game the last 2 years, 3 of the last 4 years. What a tremendous tournament record he has posted for the Hoyas. Rebound by Valentine, who's checked into the ball game, replacing Pollock.
Michigan State weave. They love to run this weave. Dribble handoff. Johnson operates in the middle so well.
Well, they got the same colors as the Boston Celtics. Why not run that offense, huh?
Gary, I think that's one of the most difficult plays to defend in basketball. The dribble handoff, the little weave, and also the basic screen and roll. When you have players such as Vernon Carr and Daryl Johnson and Scott Skiles, who can do so much with the basketball, you get them in the open court with a weave, and it's very difficult to defend against.
You see Perry McDonald into the game for the first time, number 10, who's checked in. Highsmith is checked out. McDonald, yet another player from the New Orleans area, a sophomore. He's roaming the baseline. Now with the ball. 4-point lead for Michigan State. Still a different tempo than anticipated in Dayton Arena.
Must watch Reggie Williams on the baseline. He loves to roam the baseline. They like to alley-oop. So Michigan State must be aware of him at all time running that baseline.
Jackson off to Wingate. That was good off-ball movement by Wingate.
And he needs that kind of basket, an easy basket there.
And he picks up a foul, though, trying to come up with a steal, his second. Third team foul.
Georgetown fouls on number 40.
So Michigan State will inbound. Also coming in now is Ralph Walker for the Spartans, number 15. As John Heathcote, sensing it took a lot of physical demands and stamina out of this team Thursday, is really substituting much more freely in this game than he did Thursday. Using Walker, using Valentine, trying to rest him for the stretch drive.
Little screen and roll here. Valentine and Skiles. He loves to come off this screen and try to look for his jump shot. Can't leave him alone there. That's 2.
Well, you talk about getting the ball rotated over in a hurry. 42-38.
Gary, when you play him, you can't leave him. You've got to sacrifice yourself and tell your teammates, look, I can't let this guy get on a roll. He's now hit his last 3 jump shots.
Well, you said you just can't let him get the ball, period. Not just shoot the ball, just don't let him get the ball.
My college coach used to have a great saying. He said, if you can't get the ball, you can't shoot it. And that's what you have to think about with Scott Skiles.
And I would think Georgetown is capable defensively to do that very thing with the wave of defenders, the quickness that they have.
Not only that, but they play against great guards in the Big East, the Pearl Washingtons and the Chris Mullins, and right on down the line.
Nice move by Perry McDonald. Michigan State by 2. Darrell Johnson, who loves to push it up the floor. Skiles takes Wingate in. 14 and a half to go now in this game. Nice pass to Valentine, and they're going to have a foul, and it's on Reggie Williams, and that's his 4th. What a costly foul that is at the 14:28 mark. His fouls have been those little ones. They haven't been the big fouls. They just kind of touch fouls, and all of a sudden their #1 scorer, leading rebounder, their best player is in real foul trouble.
Now John Thompson's got to come in with a substitution.
They have outstanding depth, but this is one guy they cannot afford to lose, and that's Reggie Williams. Williams will come out now, and for the first time, Bobby Winston, #4, a freshman out of the D.C. area, will come into the ball game. You can have waves of defenders against Skiles, but you can't have waves of players like Reggie Williams.
Yeah, when you lose him, Michigan State now can sort of swing their defense, and they can start thinking about who on the floor now will hurt them. You've got to start leaning to Michael Jackson and to Wingate, because Reggie Williams draws so much attention. It will open up those little seams in that matchup zone defense for his teammates.
Valentine makes it 43-40. Highsmith now coming to the ball game. Pollock is checked in. Valentine will leave. There he is. Played for Morgan Wooten at DeMatha High School in Washington, D.C. What an outstanding high school program they have. Here's the guy that may have to take over right now. Jackson with Williams out of there.
Got to look for his shot. He's got to shoot the ball more than 2 or 3 times. Right now they need him to look on that wing to maybe penetrate, get a jump shot, get to the free throw line, but he's got to look to shoot the basketball.
John Thompson said Michael Jackson's too unselfish. He's the all-time assist leader, but they got to have some points as well.
Alley-oop to Wingate.
Broken up nicely by Walker. 2-on-1 break. Pollock, beautiful. And Scott Skiles is cheerleading at the other end, jumping up and down. Look at him, and the crowd erupts.
Well, this is Scott Skiles that we've seen this year. Behind the back, a wraparound pass to Pollock, running the floor. Great play that has gotten this Michigan State team on fire. Pass to Pollock now with his right hand. Just watch his eyes. He looks to the right and flips it to the left for the layup. And the good thing about it is the big man running the floor gets that little layup. Now you know what's going to happen. He's going to go back down the floor, and he's going to defend, and he's going to rebound because his man, Scott Skiles, got him a layup. That's the way you keep those big guys happy.
That was one of the finest plays I've seen this year.
Oh, see, that's the thing you're used to seeing with this Scott Skiles. He does that routinely. Do you think he has not practiced that thousands upon thousands of hours in the backyard somewhere?
I thought that head-on shot, I've never seen a guy look it off like that.
Well, Magic Johnson does that the best in the pros, and you played for Michigan State. I'm sure Scott Skiles is aware of that. And
now here's Jackson. He needs to start shooting and shooting well, and he doesn't get it. Pollock with a rebound, and it's going to be off of Pollock.
Oh, Pollock made a decision there, Gary. The big man does not want to dribble that ball out of a double team. He had 2 smaller players on him. Get it to your guard, throw it up floor, and now get into the transition. Don't be putting it on the floor and causing a turnover like that.
Michigan State with their biggest lead of 5. Jackson now 0 for 4 from outside. Here's Wingate inside. Over Fordham. Dalton comes down with it. And we're going to have a held ball. And it will go to Georgetown. Dalton playing with those unusual shoes. Coming back for another year after going to graduate school. And as John Thompson put it, we're glad to have him back. He took a lot of pressure off the younger players.
He actually has nerve damage in his foot, the reason he has to wear that.
He just can't get the shot to drop, and eventually Fordham kicks it out. Skiles, here comes Darrell Johnson, and they overthrew this one. It's going to be Michigan State's ball because Highsmith touched it. The Ralph Dalton story. See his boxer-type shoes as you look at this. Look at this tail end of the play, what Daryl Johnson will do.
Well, a great athletic play to save this basketball. He throws it in, and the Georgetown player knocks it out of bounds. But, Gary, as you were talking about Dalton, he's got nerve damage in his foot that has almost a drop foot kind of situation. He wears a brace and those big boxer shoes.
Skiles. A lead of 7, and look at him.
You think he's having some fun now?
Oh, I think the crowd's having fun. He is an entertainer.
And I also think that John Thompson's got a big dilemma. At what point do you put Reggie Williams back in the game? If the game starts slipping away from you, there is no tomorrow. You got to put him back in the ball game.
Michigan State in the second half has hit 6 of 8 from the field. Rodnex. Skiles has it. Michigan State with the ball and with a 7-point lead. Shooting dramatically changing in this game. Michigan State starting to shoot effectively.
You see the bounce in the legs of the Michigan State players now. You just see them gearing it up to another level. Skiles looking for his shot.
We've got Dalton chasing out here on this dribble handoff. Now he drops back in.
Georgetown doing a nice job defensively here.
Skiles has it stripped away, and it'll be off of Winston. Michigan State will inbounds. Perry McDonald will come back into the lineup for the Hoyas, and Winston will lead.
Let's keep our eyes now on Scott Skiles on this inbounds play. They like to run a little set play for him. Coming off the inline out-of-bounds situation, they'll run him off a double screen. He'll be the inbounds passer, but that's the most dangerous man in basketball, the guy who's inbounding it on an inline out-of-bound play.
We talked about the fact that Scott Skiles is so good getting open with the ball as opposed to Chris Mullen, who's so good without the ball. But Scott can do a little of both. We're having some problems here with the scoring table and possibly the scoreboard. Let's see. As
they're running the shot clock down, they start to recycle at the 45 when the ball was knocked out. There was no shot attempt there, so it will go down, I think, to about 9.
We talked about the depth and the wave of defenders. Look at this. Georgetown, 18-game substitutions. They have such versatility. Right now, they're not finding the right combination out of that versatility because Scott Skiles is on a move right now. He's on a roll. Here it comes to Porter. Everything going well for the Spartans. They lead by 9. And again, the catalyst to Skiles. Georgetown has missed their last 4 shots. Somebody's got to look for it. Into Dalton. He's missed again. Here comes Scott Skiles. Off it comes to Daryl Johnson. And Johnson this time can't track it down. To Wingate. Oh, and Pollock has fouled him. His first.
That's a good foul right there, Gary. That was nothing dirty or anything to try to injure David Wingate. Pollock got his steps together. Wingate knew that the man was on him. He was going to go up strong, and Pollock was not going to give him anything easy. He went for the block on the dunk. He didn't get it, but he went over and let David Wingate know, hey, I wasn't trying to hurt you. I was just trying to prevent that shot, and Wingate acknowledged it.
He's 3 of 4 from the line. On that last break, I thought Scott and Daryl didn't really get together on it. They didn't know what they wanted to do.
Scott Skiles underestimated the speed of Horace Broadnax. Daryl Johnson normally outruns people in the open floor. He sort of floated it out there, and Broadnax, with his quickness, was able to stay up with Johnson. The only thing Daryl Johnson could do was try to save the basketball, and when he did, he threw it right back into the arms of a Georgetown player.
So Wingate hits them both. That breaks a dry spell for this Georgetown team. And now we have a foul. It's going to go on Broadnax. He was trying to keep Daryl Johnson from getting into position to receive the ball, and he commits his first foul. That's the 15th foul now. Remember, when Michigan State goes to the line, they're a good free throw shooting team as we go down the remaining 11 minutes of this game. Skiles will bring it up.
I think this is really good philosophy here to let Skiles throw the ball in bounds and then just step right in and bring it back in and bring it up the floor.
Into Fordham again. Pollock will bring it out. Skiles. Nice pass to Pollock. Daryl Johnson, and now this is the kind of up and down floor activity we expected. Skiles will bring it out. 51-42, Michigan State. Pollock needed that last shot. He'd missed a couple.
You think having that layup on the open floor the last time down the floor helped him shoot that last jumper? Open that basket up after you get those layups.
Darrell Johnson. Timeout, Georgetown. 53-42, biggest lead of the game for the Spartans. Michigan State, as you can see, third in the country in field goal shooting. They are heating up in this second half. They've hit 9 of 12. So you would expect them to maybe be in that percentile, but certainly not at 75. Now, one of the keys to this game, Doug, we talked about was rebounding. Surprisingly, the Spartans lead.
In the first half of the ball game, Georgetown got some easy putbacks. They also got some opportunities in the lane. Michigan State has taken that away, and Judd Heathcote told us yesterday we cannot allow Georgetown easy baskets. By negating the rebounding, they've been able to take that away.
10-15 to go in the second round game. Michigan State with the biggest lead of the game, 53-42 over Georgetown, the Dayton Arena in Dayton, Ohio. I'm Gary Bednar along with Doug Collins. Georgetown has only one timeout remaining. John Thompson using them early, trying to get this game back within reach, within their control.
He's also come back in with Michael Jackson and Reggie Williams, realizing we're down 11. There's no reason for them to continue to sit on the bench. We better get them out and let them play.
Reggie coming in with 4 fouls. Here's Wingate. Dalton, and Dalton, after missing a couple inside, gets that one to go. 4 points for Ralph Dalton.
Georgetown is a team of streaks. Michigan State better not relax because they're capable of throwing off 4 or 5 baskets on you real quickly and getting back in the game with their pressure defense and their quickness.
It's a very good point. They will absolutely overhaul you in a hurry. They're capable of that. 53-44, 9.5 left in the game. Burning off a little time now. Johnson, wide open, Fordham. They don't respect him, and they're giving him some easy shots. He has 8 points, well over his seasonal average. He's only averaging 2.2 a game.
The Georgetown big men are committing very quickly out on the floor to try to shut down penetration. It's opening up a lot of passing lanes for Fordham and Pollock inside for easy baskets.
There's an easy basket. Dalton hits his last 2. He has 6. Timeout, Michigan State. The Spartans will have 3 remaining. Judd Heathcote, he'd like to continue on, maybe back to Dallas. The World Figure Skating Championships here on CBS Sports Saturday and Sunday. Katarina Vets, outstanding performer, will try to hold off U.S. national champion Debbie Thomas and Tiffany Chin. That's next Sunday. And you'll see the men's and ice dancing competitions. Coverage both days begin at noon Eastern, 9 o'clock Pacific. I thought that was a good timeout, didn't you, Judd, calling that one?
I thought it was a very good timeout. He knows that Georgetown is a team of streaks that I just talked about. The defensive intensity on Michigan State the last 2 possessions was very poor. They gave up 2 layups, something they had not done the whole half. Judd Heathcote called timeout and said, guys, we got an 11-point lead by not letting them have those kind of things. We can't get lax right now.
See, it's Skiles, Carr, Pollock, Johnson, and Fordham, the starters for Michigan State. Jackson, both Jacksons. Jarrett along with Michael. Jonathan Edwards, Reggie Williams playing with 4 fouls, and Ralph Dalton. As we go down now the last 9 minutes of the game. Darrell Johnson, followed by Pollock. Got to give a lot of credit to Edwards, who just lost the ball out of bounds. He intimidated that shot. That was a beautiful move, but Edwards was there.
Georgetown had great overplay defense. The backdoor cut by Darrell Johnson. Georgetown player coming over, forcing him to miss the layup, and Pollock almost with an outstanding tip-in.
Pollock looking a lot better since he made that one driving layup, and then he hit the shot from the corner. He's picked up his whole game.
Can't leave him alone.
Ooh, that's a travel. They had Edwards. Look at Edwards now yelling at Skiles. They're having a little battle now verbally, and the little fireworks may be starting here.
That might be a mistake on Jonathan Edwards. He does not want to get Skiles fired up. That's the first time I think that a Georgetown player has said anything to Skiles today.
Well, nothing else is working. You might as well try that tactic. Here's Reggie Williams. Williams now with 12. 55-48. And Carr almost traveled with it. To Darrell Johnson. Tipped by Carr. Now this is their game. Spread it out. Dart to the basket. Boy, they can hurt you.
What a great play there by Carr. He gave the ball up to Darrell Johnson, and he did not stand and spectate. He got on the boards, and as a result, he got rewarded for it.
Michael Jackson is not shooting that shot with any confidence at all. The foul will go on Vernon Carr inside, his second. But he doesn't look to me like he expects that ball to go in.
Shooting is as much psychological as it is technical on a lot of days, and if you're shooting with the idea that you're not going to make it, chances are you're not going to make it. You shoot very defensively. You got to have that philosophy. Just let it go. Get it in rhythm and shoot it. That time he passed up an open jumper to try to get it down to Reggie Williams underneath.
And he had a tough shot at best. Tracked down by Highsmith. Reggie with 12 points, the lean in.
Could be an offensive foul.
And that's all if it is. Nope, they're going to call it on Walker. That would have been the 5th foul. That was a tense moment for John Thompson as Walker commits his first foul.
Reggie Williams really leaned in that time to draw contact. He dipped his shoulder just a little bit, but the referees ruled that the Michigan State man threw his body out to force the contact, but very, very close play there for Reggie Williams.
5 team fouls now. Here they are. I don't know. That might backfire. I don't know, as you said, that you need to fire up Scott Skiles anymore. He can talk and play at the same time.
He's one of the few players I've ever seen. In fact, I don't know of another player that can verbally have warfare going on out there and not get distracted. He can play actually better. I've never seen a player be able to do that before, and I've been around this game a long time.
Well, it just takes a lot of energy to do that.
Let's see if he tries to come down and take this next shot.
Aaron Jackson trying to stay with him, and he fouled him. I think Scott further enhanced that foul a little bit, but he was fouled. We want to watch the rebounding for you. It is very important in this game, and Michigan State still has the edge.
Georgetown now with 16 fouls. We see Dalton coming into the ball game. We see those high shoes he wears. In the back of his right foot there, we see that metal brace that he wears to help with that nerve damage in his foot. Actually, his knee is okay now, John Thompson told us yesterday. It's just the nerve damage in his foot that gives him the problem.
John didn't want him to play, and Ralph's mother came to him and says, I don't want my son thinking he's an invalid or physically handicapped. Talked John into letting him come back on the team. A remarkable story, and of course, Georgetown's glad he did come back. 57-49, deflected out of bounds.
I thought yesterday John Thompson said something very good to us. He said, one thing that Ralph Dalton has done, he has taken the pressure off all of our young kids, Jonathan Edwards and Ronnie Highsmith. Without Ralph Dalton, those kids have been thrown into fire maybe before they were ready to go.
Skiles will inbounds. 16 fouls on Georgetown. Skiles looked easy, didn't it? 10-point lead now for Michigan State. 7 minutes to go in the second half. Scott Skiles is 5 of 5 from the field. I'm not surprised, are you?
Not at all. I mean, he grew up in a state of shooters. Rick Mount right on down the line, so he knows what it is to keep firing the ball up there.
Foul on Highsmith. That's his fourth. 1-1, the 7th team foul against Georgetown at the 6:48 mark. If Georgetown would lose today, this would be their earliest exit from the NCAA tournament since 1983. As we mentioned earlier, they've been in the championship game 3 of the last 4 years. John's team had to battle hard to win against Texas Tech on Thursday night. They've always said they've had tough first-round games, and they always felt if they could get through that, they would play better. Today, though, they've run into Skiles and company, and with 6:48 to go, trail by 10, and Walker at the line as Highsmith leads with his 4th foul. Coming up after this game, West Virginia against the top-ranked team in the country, Duke. Temple, Kansas. That can't be right. West Virginia got beat. Here is Walker hitting. We're going to have to check that graphic, guys. Dale Catlett's team losing in the first round. 61-49. Anyway, we'll get that corrected and update you what is going to happen. We're going to see Duke anyway. Here is Dalton, and Perry McDonald is fouled by Pollock. That will be the second on Pollock. 6th team foul against Michigan State. Time now starting to come into play in this game. You're down 61-49, 6.5 minutes to go. We've talked about the kind of a streaky team that Georgetown can be, and they need to get on one of those streaks pretty quick.
Free throw shooting will be very important this last 6 minutes and 30 seconds. We know Michigan State, a great free throw shooting team. They are in the bonus from here on in. Michigan State, on the other hand, has only 6 fouls, so they will be shooting free throws. Speaking of Georgetown, the next foul that's committed.
Wingate out to Jackson. Michael Jackson just not there for him today. Walker brings it down. Comes Darrell Johnson trying to draw the foul. Gives it off to Walker. Walker out to Fordham, and they wisely kick it out. The two guys that don't need to be taking the shot brought it back outside.
Right now, it's very important for them to use the time. That 2 points was not as important as maybe using 30 seconds on the clock and making this ball game a little bit shorter game right now when you have the lead.
Giles ducking in on Michael Jackson, kicked, and that will reset it. That'll reset it to 45 seconds on the shot clock. Okay, now let's take an opportunity to show the menu coming up. Got it all corrected, all the gremlins out of there. It's old DU against Duke, Temple against Kansas. That's the second game here, and LSU had to go into overtime to defeat Purdue at home against Memphis State. Boy, they played well in the first round.
That should be a great ball game. Memphis State at LSU.
61-49 here, 5:43. Georgetown running out of time.
Here's where Michigan State's guards are so important. They have 3 players that control the ball out on the perimeter, all very good free throw shooters.
Michigan State asks for a timeout. They have 2 left. They're in good shape. Was Salt Lake City, and Michigan State playing Indiana State in the championship game, and you know that guy, Magic Johnson.
Well, a young man, Urban Magic Johnson, who has revolutionized the game of basketball in the 80s, a 6'9" guard. Look at this right here. Does this look familiar? Do you think Skiles maybe has a little bit of that in him with his encouraging his teammates and the animation on the floor?
And here's what Judd Heathcote has done. See the years he's had outstanding success. He did a good job at Montana. Had Michael Ray Richardson play for him there before he came on to East Lansing. And that ball's thrown away. Good pressure on Skiles. Turns it over. No, they're going to give it to Michigan State. Georgetown touching the ball. Skiles, he hit the deck, did a little somersault, and just remained on the floor for a while. There's a reach in, batted out by Smith. It'll be MSU's ball again. Now listen to Skiles. He's yelling, Darrell Johnson, you're to get the ball.
Right now, what Michigan State would like to do is keep the ball in the hands of Vernon Carr, who's just checking into the ball game, Darrell Johnson, and Skiles. Pollock and I think it's Valentine or Fordham run box to box, stay away from the ball, and don't touch it unless you absolutely have to come out and be a helper against the pressure.
They took Valentine out. Fordham is still in as they brought Carr in. They're mopping the floor, and the kid that came out to mop the floor up did the splits out there as he fell down, and he gets a standing O from the Michigan State band. 5:27 left to go. Skiles, and he did not get it in. 5 seconds.
Vernon Carr that time ran away from the basketball. He was wide open. He did not even look at the ball. He's too good a player to do that. He's an outstanding free throw, or excuse me, he's only a 69% free throw shooter, but he's the guy they want to catch the ball here, Darrell Johnson.
Michael Jackson to Wingate. Georgetown has to be in a hurry now. They've cut it to 10 with 5:15. 11 points for Wingate. Darrell Johnson, there's that trap that they'll throw at you in the backcourt. Scott Skiles looks around, and he looked that shot off. He did not zero in on that one well. Here comes McDonald, and here comes one of these streaks now by Georgetown they're famous for.
Michigan State must be very careful right now. Georgetown forced them to take a quick shot.
Timeout. He got it in time before they counted 4 seconds. Thompson didn't think so. He thought they had a 5-second count, but Michigan State got the timeout, and they're going to try to get their poise back. We've been talking about Scott Skiles as a player, but off the court he's had a great deal of difficulty this year. Last August, Scott was charged with drug possession. He pleaded guilty to the possession of marijuana, a misdemeanor offense. He received a suspended 1-year prison term and 1-year probation. He later on 2 occasions was charged with drunken driving. The drinking and the last arrest violated the terms of his probation. He was sentenced to 30 days for the probation violation. With good behavior, he may serve a minimum of 15 days, and Scott will serve his time after the season. And Doug, you wonder, do you take the game of basketball away from Scott and not let him play this year?
Well, you know, there's a lot of speculation about that. Gary, my feeling is here's a young man whose whole life has been basketball. If this year playing will help in his rehabilitation, I'm all for it. If it will detract from it, then I think he should have laid out. And we will not know that until we see how he progresses down the road. But I'm not so sure that as much as he loves basketball, if you would take that away from him, that he would have had more problems down the road. And it's a very fine line when you start talking about something like this.
Judd Heathcote said this has been one of those years where it's been amazing, but at the same time a very draining experience because of that.
Every place they go, every press conference, people want to talk about, well, why'd you let Scott Skiles play? Scott Skiles this, Scott Skiles that. And yesterday I had a feeling that Judd was very uptight because someone brought it up again, and he said, look, we're in the NCAA tournament. Can we talk about us maybe playing Georgetown tomorrow?
Yeah, in fact, he stormed out, and I know Judd very well. Later tracked him down. We talked about it, and he just feels it's been beaten into the ground. Well, we're going to leave it alone. We're going back to his style on the floor, and we have a foul on Perry McDonald trying to screen out the inbounds guy. His first foul. John Chaney, the coach of the Temple Owls, coming up next against Kansas. His team, for the 3rd straight year, winning 25 games. When you talk about this ball club, you think about that zone defense.
You see how calm John Chaney is right there. In about an hour, you'll never see him that calm for about the next 2.5 hours. It's amazing when a coach steps onto the floor. You see John Thompson there. The sweat starts coming down the brow. You get the towel, the butterflies, the stomach. It's amazing what emotion you feel sitting over there as a coach.
People won't believe this, but you're a pretty good guy off the court.
You know, I guess. But as a player, I realized I was a jerk. And
you said it. I didn't say that, Doug. I want that written down right now. You said that. Here's Vernon Carr hitting both of them. And now Walker will come back in, and Carr will lead. Carr was 6 for 6 at the free throw line. It's been kind of quiet today. But that's the thing about Michigan State. They've had different people that can pick up the play to go along with Scott Skiles. Gotten good play out of Fordham and Walker. There's Fordham reaching in. Perry McDonald on the retrieve, and he's going to have a foul. One official calling traveling, the other a foul, and it's going to be a foul on Johnson, his second, as Brodnack's now wanting to come into the ball game. Also coming in will be Smith, Charles Smith.
Michigan State foul the number 13.
Now, McDonald is not a good free throw shooter. He's shooting only 58%. Judd Heathcote wanted the one official's call. That was a travel, but he didn't get it. McDonald is a sophomore. He has had a little bit of a sophomore jinx. His statistics really dropping off. I mentioned not a good free throw shooter. And Dougie hasn't shot well from the field either, 39%.
I think what you're seeing right now with John Thompson, you're seeing situation substitution, where anytime Georgetown can put a defensive team on the floor, they're going to do that, and then they're going to get the better offensive players on. So right now, John Thompson will be a juggling act with his personnel.
There's a foul on Wingate, and he got all of that one. Skiles getting up. That's the 3rd foul on Wingate. Skiles has been on the floor a few times in this game. I have watched him 2 previous times, and he's had a bloodied knee, one sock almost totally red. He looks like he's out there in a boxing mode rather than basketball. What do you think about him as a pro, Doug?
I think he'll be a very good pro. Number one, he has the ability to get his own shots. He's a great passer. The only thing he's going to have to do is work on his man-to-man defense, because he's going to be outsized in a lot of different situations. But I want to tell you one thing. When you've got a heart to go with the talent like Scott Skiles has, he can play on my team any day.
How in the world would this intensity maintain itself for 82 games, though?
Well, that will be very difficult. What you have to do, you learn as a pro when you play 82 games, that you can't be diving on the floor every situation. You got to be able to pick your spots a little bit.
Michigan State for the game now is 19 of 23 from the free throw line. Georgetown just can't seem to whittle this down. 4:21 left.
Excuse me, Gary. We talked earlier about that the free throw line would benefit Michigan State because of their great free throw shooting, and that has been the story here today.
Michigan State's been able to stay in that zone and do it effectively. That ball partially blocked. Ralph Dalton tried to come up with it, and he's fouled. foul is going to go on Pollock, his third. This is a veteran Georgetown team. 4 seniors will be leaving, and they have enjoyed outstanding success. Starters of Jackson, along with Dalton, Wingate. Of course, Broadnex did not start today, but he has from time to time. And they have been to the pinnacle. 84, winning it all in Seattle. Last year, of course, very close, losing to Villanova in the championship game.
And last year, Villanova had to shoot an unbelievable percentage from the floor. It was 22 for 27 or something like that. In fact, I think they shot better from the field last year than they did the free throw line in the game. And Gary, I was at that ball game, and there's no way in the world I would have, as a fan, realized that they had shot that well until I picked up the stat sheet after the game.
Dalton hits the free throw. Dalton's not a real good free throw shooter, 64%. The first graduate student to ever play. He's in the business school at Georgetown. And he hits both of them as Broadnex replaces Dalton.
This is, again, the situation substitution. He's got almost 5 guards on the floor right now when you look at the pressure defense.
Into Pollock.
Pollock doesn't need to be dribbling the ball. Get it to the guards. That's a 2-shot foul. It's an intentional foul on Smith.
That's what it is. Mickey Crowley called him that on Smith. Charles Smith reminds me of another guy that played for Georgetown. Remember Gene Smith, the defensive specialist they had?
He's a little bit leaner and a little bit rangier, but he does play that kind of defense, and that was just a little bit of a frustration foul there. Pollock on the dribble gave it away, and Smith went over and banged him with an elbow, and that was a 2-shot foul.
At the 4-minute mark now, Dalton will come back into the ball game for the rebound, should there be a missed free throw. Pollock at the line, 10 points, 9 rebounds. Kind of quietly, he's picked up those 9 rebounds. 2 of 2 from the line. There's Smith. They want him as a defensive specialist. They're grooming him to be the next Gene Smith. Pollock is an 84% free throw shooter.
Gary, when you talk about winning in the NCAA tournament, one thing I feel like you have to do well is be able to shoot free throws, because when you play for 34, 35 minutes and you have a lead and teams have to start fouling you at the end of the ball game, if you can't make your free throws, other teams are going to be able to climb back in the ball game.
You know what that reminds me of? Remember Houston?
Oh, yes.
They could not shoot those free throws, and it eventually hurt them. And that ball will go out of bounds. It'll go to Michigan State. John Thompson has to be at least concerned, if not close to panicked right now with 3:49. There just isn't anything really working to make the streak start for him that they're so famous for.
Well, he's trying to pull every string he possibly can, too. He's played different combinations, and Michael Jackson has just had a horrible day today. Could get nothing going at any time on the floor.
Skiles, they don't want to foul him, send him to the line. Out it comes with 25 seconds on the shot clock, 3:28 left in the game. 67-55 Michigan State. Johnson dribbling with his knee and his hand. Skiles, Johnson. That's goaltending on Reggie Williams. "12 points. Doug, I was impressed with Michigan State Thursday, but that was a different team I was impressed with. This is a different team today. It shows me how versatile the Spartan Club is.
They played a different tempo today than I thought they were going to play. I thought for them to beat Georgetown today, it was going to have to be a helter-skelter game. It has not been that at all. Michigan State has controlled the tempo with their 3 guards, and they've done an outstanding job, Fordham and Pollock, inside on the board.
Reggie Williams just won't go, followed by Perry McDonald. 3 minutes left to go. McDonald with 6 points. The pressure again, but thus far that pressure has not produced that many dividends.
I give Judd Heathcote a lot of credit of using Scott Skiles to get that ball inbounds. Georgetown not playing him on the inbounds pass, so he's an immediate receiver once he throws the ball inbounds.
Skiles able to kick it out. This team defeated Illinois twice. They defeated Michigan twice, split with Indiana in the Big Ten. And at the start of the year, they were picked to go absolutely nowhere. And right now, they're on their way to Kansas City.
Look at them spread the floor. There's a new 45-second shot clock. Georgetown has got a lot of bad breaks today. There was 10 seconds on the shot clock. They jump up and kick the ball. It's a resetting of the shot clock, and now they got to chase it for 45 more seconds.
Doug, every year it seems like somebody gets a hot hand in the tournament. You wonder if this might be that club, Michigan State. With 2:21 to go, they've got this one right where they want it, 69-57.
I think another ingredient to being a team that can win in the tournament, there's another kick. Another ingredient, Gary, is when you need a basket, do you have someone you can go to? I like my chances with Scott Skiles and Daryl Johnson.
And another ingredient, I'll tip them off because we've talked about this, is good coaching, and obviously Michigan State has that. Judd Heathcote's team looking for the 23rd win as Carr ducks in. Foul on Highsmith. The basket will not count. Highsmith is fouled out. Again, you'll get to see the top-ranked team in the country, Duke, going against Old Dominion University. Tom Young, the new coach there after coming over from Rutgers. Temple and Kansas will be the second game here. The Jayhawks 32-3, have won 13 in a row. Temple, that outstanding zone defense. And then LSU playing at home against Memphis State. And Memphis State, of course, making it to the Final Four last season.
Gary, I think the key for Michigan State in this second half has been the fact that as I look at Scott Skiles now, he is now bleeding profusely from the knee and his sock is totally red. So I think when you strike blood on him, this Michigan State team reacts altogether differently. But the sign of blood, I think, to him is like a fighter. And he just goes crazy.
He needs a cut man.
Yes, he does.
Look at this. The play of Michigan State from the line. We knew if they'd get there, they'd be effective, and they have been. They've gotten it inside effectively, and of course, Georgetown's had to chase them all this second half, committing a lot of fouls. This game was not tempo-wise the way we expected, and obviously didn't expect Michigan State to be walking away at the end of this one with this kind of advantage. It's the reason you play these games, right?
Yeah, that's what you have to tell Notre Dame and Indiana. If they win on the seeding right now, there's no need to play them until you get to the final 8 or so.
Cleveland State thought they could win, and they did. Here's Reggie Williams ducking inside. Minute 52. Williams with 15 points. Here's Michael Jackson on the steal. Dalton just horsing it up, still fighting for it. Going to be a foul. The foul is going to go on Pollock. That'll be his 4th. And now Walker will come in replacing Vernon Carr. Gotten some good quality time out of Walker, senior out of Southfield, Michigan.
Number 35, Larry Pollock, his 4th personal foul.
Ralph Dalton, who for 3 years battled Pat Ewing in practice, so he deserved his final season to become a starter. Been a real stabilizer. Cuts it to 10 with 1:41 left to go. We welcome those viewers from the West Coast. We have 1:40 left in the second round game for the Midwest region. Michigan State leading by 10 over Georgetown. I'm Gary Bender along with Doug Collins. It's been a remarkable performance by Michigan State. And here is a steal attempt. Instead, a foul is going to go on Georgetown. Let's update you on the statistics in this game. Scott Skiles, the player of the year in the Big Ten, has 20. Reggie Williams has 15 for Georgetown. And Scott Skiles, one of the most unusual, most remarkable players that you'll watch, has certainly disappointed no one in this game. It's been a game where Michigan State has stayed in the zone, Doug. It was not the fast tempo game we expected, but Michigan State took what they gave them, and they've done it very well.
They did that. They rebounded very well. They took away Georgetown's easy second shot scores, and they won it right here at the free throw line.
Free throw line has not deserted this team that shot 81% during this season, and Pollock makes it 71-60. Pollock, one of the co-captains on this team for Michigan State. An amazing story here as Michigan State at the start of the year picked to go nowhere, finishing 3rd in the Big Ten, winning over Washington Thursday, and now over Georgetown with 1:23. Drive in by Wingate. Down to 10 with 1:18. The pressure defense, but Michigan State has handled it so well. Fordham off to Daryl Johnson. To Skiles. It's exhausting to give chase like this, Doug, for as long as Georgetown has.
And they've done it 2 or 3 occasions where they've got a kick, and they've had to reset the clock, so they've played defense on some stretches for over a minute.
Skiles ducking in, 22. Wingate driving in again, and he's fouled. This would be the earliest exit for Georgetown since 1983. For those of you who joined us from the West Coast, we told our viewers earlier that a remarkable tournament record for John Thompson. They have been in the championship game 3 of the last 4 years, the last 2 years. But it looks like they will not get there this year. They won a first-round game against Texas Tech and had to come from behind to win that one.
David Wingate in the line for Georgetown, 2 throws.
At the line, David Wingate, 13 points. He's 5 of 6 from the free throw line.
You know, Gary, as we talk about a little bit about this second half, the Michigan State guards, combination 4 for 14 in the first half shooting. Scott Skiles came out after shooting 1 for 7, and I can only remember him unofficially missing 1 shot. I don't know how many he's missed officially, but I can only unofficially remember him missing 1 shot in the second half. But the thing that I was impressed with, his standstill jump shot was not going early in the game. He started penetrating, getting inside, and shooting shots on the move, and it really lifted his game, and he started being able to score as opposed to the standstill jump shot.
To back up what you're saying, Skiles has missed 1 shot. He's 6 of 7 in the second half. You see the time left. Boy, what a victory this will be for Michigan State. Judd Heathcote, who's undergone open heart surgery, battled back from those problems, and taken this team out of oblivion into Kansas City, and they'll play the winner of the next game, Temple and Kansas. Very busy day here on CBS. We'll be going back to Brent Musburger. He'll update you on what's ahead and, of course, on the scores as the other games unfold. Rodnex comes in for Georgetown with 33 seconds as Jaron Jackson leads. John Thompson, in his 14th year as the coach, has won 320 games. 14 points for Pollock. Now 15. He's played so much better after a very shaky start. And Doug, it goes back to when Pollock got that breakaway basket on that wraparound pass by Scott Skiles. One of the finest plays we've seen this year.
Well, I've always felt that as a shooter, if you can get a layup early in the game, when you take that outside jump shot, it becomes a lot more easy for you because that basket sort of opens up. We're all victims of being psychological when we shoot. If we miss our first 2 or 3, we start thinking. When you get that layup, you start forgetting about that last miss.
26 of 31 is Michigan State from the line, and Jackson hits one, but it may be too little too late. 76-66 our score. Michigan State trying to kill the remaining 26 seconds and head to Kansas City. LSU, Memphis State, as they'll be switching around the country to keep you posted on the 1986 tournament field. Our executive producer of NCAA Sports is Kevin O'Malley. Our producer, Michael Burks, the guy from Indiana. Is glad to have him with us. And Sandy Grossman, who always does an outstanding job for us. Danny Poore, producing our tease at the start. Joe Valerio, the feature producer, and we're just glad to have these people with us. And we have another game, Temple and Kansas, and you'll be joining us for parts of that game, as there's just a lot going on right now. A lot of people working overtime, but you said something interesting to me, Doug, and I really respect your opinion. You said, I would love to play with Scott Skiles. It's an opportunity you'd love to have had.
Well, you know, I am a lot like Scott Skiles in terms of I was a basketball junkie. It was my life, and you love to be out on the floor with it means as much to guys as it does to you, and Scott Skiles is that kind of player. There's never going to be a night where he walks on the floor where he's not ready to play, and I really respect that as a player.
Reach-in foul, and that's all for Reggie Williams. He fouls out. Reggie will leave with 15 points and 4 rebounds. It just never has happened. Georgetown has never been able to get the streak going, never get any momentum build up where they could make those quick 2 or 3 steals, get the quick basket. And the reason is the Skiles and Johnson and company just won't lose their poise. They won't allow it.
And when you got a foul to catch up and the team that you're playing is an 80% free throw shooting team, you're not going to be able to get up over the hump. You're just going to continually, hopefully they miss 1 out of 2, but that's not even been the case. They just walked up to the line and knocked them all home.
Talking of knocking it home, in the second half, Skiles is 6 of 7 from the field, 4 of 4 from the free throw line for 16 points, 22 for the game. But he was 1 of 7 at one stage in this game. But you know, you just can't keep him down. He's eventually going to get back at you somehow.
I thought he got back into it early with his passing when he started getting in the seams and started hitting Fordham and Pollock and some of these players inside for some layups because Georgetown was converging on him so much. And then he went back to shooting on the move, something he does so well, and he got his shot going down.
Before those free throws, Michigan State was shooting 84% from the line. Wingate. Back to a 10-point spread. Skiles gets it off to Fordham. Tended to Carr. Now Carr ought to bring it out, but he's going to take it in anyway. With 3 seconds, follows it up and puts the pressure on. Michigan State now is 23-7. Georgetown's season comes to a close at 24-8. Final score, Michigan State 80. Georgetown 68 to New York and Brent Musburger.
All right, Gary, and so 2 of the seeded teams in the Midwest, Notre Dame and now Georgetown, have both been upset. Our Chevrolet most valuable players of this game, Scott Skiles of Michigan State and Reggie Williams of Georgetown. A reminder now, coming up, Game 2 of our triple-header coverage, Duke against Old Dominion, LSU, Memphis State, Kansas against Temple, coverage of all 3 games, and we will continue along the road to the Final Four in Dallas in just a moment.